Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the BNI Partners In Excellence show. I'm Andy. I'm so excited to have our very own Miguel Contreras with us today with Rain West Collective. Miguel, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Such an honor to be here with you. Again, I love this project you have going on, Andy.
So, well, thank you. This has been a lot of fun. I know I've kind of said that, time and time again on some of these episodes, but it's been so interesting. Just seeing a new side of everybody, getting people comfortable and kind of warmed up to the camera and the microphone and the lights a little bit. Like, it was funny because when I was talking with Hansel, he's like, "Whoa, look at all this stuff." I'm like, "Hey man, this is just like my tools. Like you go to a job, like you know how to set up your tools, you know how to like calibrate everything. Like these are just my work tools, man."
Yeah, it's beautiful though. It's a beautiful studio.
Well, thank you for being here. I'm really excited. You and I know each other a long time, and we know a lot about each other.
Yes.
But I know also that there's just some things that maybe other people here might not be as aware of that I think we should talk about today.
Yeah.
So I want to get some insight and some expertise from your specific industry and what you do. Talk about how BNI is helping, but can continue maybe growing and scaling your company, what you're doing, and then maybe some lesser known things about Miguel that we could just talk about a little bit. There's some fun stories. So
sounds great.
All right, cool. So if people don't know this already, Miguel is a founding member of BNI Partners in Excellence.
Yes.
So take us all the way back there to like when this began, because I know that the chapter started in 2006. Is that also when your idea came, or how'd that start?
It started in 06, spring 06. And initially it started off creating a accountability with my lender. We were both referring each other sporadically deals. So I'd refer him up either a buyer or a refi opportunity and vice versa. So we decided we wanted to formalize that relationship a little bit more and create an accountability with one another to help one another scale in the business. We were both probably a good 3 to 4 years in the industry, which is, for all intents and purposes, is like being a baby in the industry. 3 years, 4 years is, you're still
Relatively new.
We're still relatively new.
Yeah.
You've got a little thicker skin than you did when you first started, but you're still relatively new. So we wanted to scale. We wanted to have more velocity to our referral partnership, and we started meeting weekly. And then in one of those meetings, we thought, well, you know what? It'd be great if we could invite 1 or 2 more individuals who don't do what we do, but service the same types of clients that we do, or are at least prospecting in the same pools, but offering different services. So naturally, we invited a commercial lender and an insurance agent. So then the 4 of us were meeting weekly. And we thought, well, shoot, this is pretty good. There's 4 of us. Why don't we invite 2 more individuals? So let's keep this thing rolling. So we were now at 6. We're at 6 meeting frequently every week, same time, same day of the week. And in that time frame, I think we were meeting on Fridays for lunch.
Oh, okay.
Right? We were meeting at Fridays for lunch. And then
I don't know that I ever knew that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were meeting Fridays lunch. And
that sounds good, by the way.
It sounds fantastic.
You guys want to do a second meeting Fridays at lunchtime every week?
It.
Let's do that.
It was a lot of fun. And, as the weeks progressed, now we're into summer of 06. I got invited to a BNI Visitors Day. I didn't know it was a BNI Visitors Day. I didn't know what it was. I just got invited to this networking event to observe. I show up, and I think it's a La Mesa chapter of BNI, which is still around, the chapter. And I was blown away. I believe, if memory serves me correct, there was probably about 60 to 70 persons.
Oh, wow.
At this meeting, a big visitors day like we used to do back in the days at Pi as well. So huge turnout. And my mind's just like blown away. Holy crap, look at all these people, and they're all passing referrals to one another. I was pumped up. So I went to the director, who I didn't know was the owner of the franchise at the time, Catherine Lodel.
Catherine, yeah.
Yeah, this is amazing. I would love to be part of this group, yada, yada, yada. And she said, well, you're a realtor. It's a very coveted seat in BNI. Obviously, we have a realtor here. You wouldn't be able to be a member of this chapter. However, let me pose a challenge to you. Would you be open to starting your own chapter? I'm like, well, what does that consist of? Well, if you could start off with 6 or 8 of you. I already have 6.
I already got 6 right here right now.
I already have 6. Yeah. Let's go. So she gave me all the information. I called my buddy Carlos at the time, who was my lender. Carlos, I just went to this meeting, man. It's BNI. I've never heard of it before. The systems, the process, the agenda was so efficient. They were passing a ton of referrals. We've got to do this. So he starts laughing.
Oh, what?
Starts laughing, but not in a like laughing at me kind of way, but it was more like, holy crap, kind of laughing. He's like, Miguel, you're not going to believe this, man. Just this morning, I was listening to a CD because, you know, we didn't have because we didn't have
pause. A CD. A CD. He was listening to a CD.
Yes.
What was he listening to that CD on, Miguel?
Ivan Meisner.
A compact disc player?
A compact disc player in his vehicle, in his car.
Oh my gosh.
You know, we didn't have Audible. Well, we did, but it was all CDs, right? It was books on CD.
Books on tape and CD.
So someone had given him a BNI CD, and he's like, I just got this CD.
Oh my gosh.
With Ivan Meisner.
I remember those.
The founder of BNI.
Wow.
Holy crap. This is not a coincidence. We have to do this.
Dang.
So sure enough, I reached back out to Catherine and said, hey, I've got buy-in from our group. We want to do this. So I want to say this was like late August 06. September, we get started with the whole curriculum with our director at that time. His name is Denny Howe. I don't know if you ever
Denny. Denny was so great.
Yes, I don't know if you remember. Yeah, you remember.
Yeah, I was on director team with him too.
Yeah,
Denny's awesome.
Really cool guy.
Great life coach, business coach.
Phenomenal guy.
Great trainer.
Yes. So he put us through the curriculum starting September all through December. And then we launched as an official chapter of BNI in January of 07.
Dang.
Yeah. So of our current membership in Pi, obviously I was the founder.
You.
And current membership, they Ray Estelano and Eddie Macias both joined that January where we had a visitors day.
Oh wow!
100.
I was going to ask you, when did they come in? Okay.
Yeah, we had a visitors day to launch. So as our official launch of BNI Pi Partners in Excellence, we had 100 persons in attendance.
What?
At our visitors
day. I never knew that.
Yeah, so we had at the time our core group who had, you know, our launch team, so to speak. From September through December, we lost a few. We had to be at 20 at the time. We did get to 20, and we lost some members along the way. It happens, attrition. Yeah. So by December, I believe we were down to 16. But because of that visitors day for our launch, if I remember correctly, I think 10 to 12 new members signed up
just from that day.
Just from that day. So we went from 16 to 28 overnight.
Wow.
And we haven't looked back.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, it was a couple of years after that. I found you guys in 2009
at a visitors day.
At a visitors day, out of the market collapsing and the bottom falling out of everything. And there were multiple lenders there that day when I was doing lending at the time. And Bruce Anderson invited me.
That's right.
It was State Farm, and Bruce is like, I have referrals for you, but here's the catch: you can't get my referrals unless you're in my networking group. That was like his grab him by the neck and yank him through the door. I was like, oh my god,
you're joining the group.
But Bruce was like, we were business neighbors. I knew Bruce from church or whatever, as well, and he invited me, and I was like, oh, I'm doing this like right now. I'm going to do this. I have to. I mean, the market was terrible, and I was, I was at that time, I was only 4 years in at that point. Yeah. To doing lending. So I was kind of that, little bit new.
Right.
And we did a lot of, look, back in 2005 and 6 and 7, everyone was doing a lot of deals. So you kind of got a lot of business at that time. But man, when the bottom fell out and everyone started learning what was going on and like how the whole thing worked, it was like, oh shoot, we're in trouble for a while.
Well, here's the thing. I have I have a very vivid memory of you at that visitors day, which was back in 2009, where you came with William, who's a good friend of mine. And I hadn't seen William in a while. I was so happy to see him. And then you were with William, so instant credibility, right? And you were the first candidate to fill out an application. I mean, you filled it out.
Yeah, I filled it out right there.
You turned it into me right away. And I'm like, oh, shoot, he's motivated. I like it. Let's go. So I have that vivid memory of you filling out the app. I'm like, here, we're in.
So let me tell you something that maybe you don't know. It's kind of, this might be interesting, but I actually met Jason Turner before BNI. So because of our office location here, Jason Turner used to be at a different suite just down in the parking lot.
That's right.
And before I knew what BNI was, Brian Franzen and myself, we had the office, this same office at the end of this building. We owned that one too. And so we just have this one now. We used to own that one. But at the time, I was walking this business park, collecting people's business cards so I could refer my clients to anyone who needed tax service, estate. And I met Jason in 2007 by door knocking his business and getting his business card. Like, oh, cool, I don't have a bankruptcy attorney. I'll put that in my little business card holder. So I had a little business card organizer even before BNI, where I was like stuffing cards in, and then eventually invited Jason to come to BNI when I became a part of BNI.
Wow.
But
I didn't know that.
I had already I just started doing that out of like, oh, I think I should be doing this.
Smart. Well, you're a consummate networker. You get it.
I guess, but
partnerships. Yeah, let me give you referrals, like a resource. You've always been that guy. So you've always been the consummate value add. How can I add value to my clients? So I'm going to refer them to quality people.
Yeah. So I'm so great. I'm so grateful and thankful for you starting Partners in Excellence.
Oh, thanks. It was a labor of love, so to speak, but also necessity because leading up to the great crash, BNI has been a crucial part of my business, not only to grow it, but to sustain it, particularly during the down cycles.
So what's so unique, and most people don't know this because they didn't either get to see this or it's too far in the rearview mirror now, but during the time of the great financial collapse, BNI grew. And becoming a director kind of soon after that, I got to see a lot of the more inner workings of BNI in general, San Diego specifically, but also just learn more directly from Ivan and from other national and worldwide leaders about BNI and networking. And one of the things that happened routinely is anytime there was economic challenge, difficulty, or strife in a country, the BNI membership grew. So it was out of the hardship that people went and sought connectivity again and relationship as almost like this carnal behavioral understanding of the foundational core of relationships.
Oh man, it's been crucial for me. It's funny thing. During the pandemic, when we first, when the shutdown first happened, it was a trying time, at least for the first couple months. We didn't know what was what. Is this the great zombie apocalypse?
Even zombies.
I know. Is this the end of our, society as we know it? There were so many unknowns at the time. And my mindset at the time was lean into BNI, lean into the tribe, the community that we have. Because that's exactly what we needed to do, what we did in 08, 09, 2010, when things were really, really challenging. So I find that when we have challenging times, if you lean into your community, your tribes and your networks, it not only is it for survival of your business, but also for your well-being as a person, and to have the fortitude and strength and energy driven by others as well. So there's something really powerful that happens when you connect with people on a communal level, so that you can amp yourself and all those energy stores. It's really powerful.
I think it's important to note for some people who might just think, oh, well, you have to be extroverted to do something like that. One of the benefits of BNI meeting on a regular basis weekly is that you're expecting me to be there. And guess what? I'm expecting myself to be there. I'm also expecting you to be there. Yeah. So we all have this like agreement that, we're all going to commit to this window of time where we're going to network. And then even in between that, we commit that we're going to meet together and all that. So you don't have to always be on all the time. Yeah. And that might seem oversimplified. Maybe it's too elementary, but I know that sometimes people watch stuff like this and like, I'm not an extrovert. I'm not a very social person. I just want to sit back and do it. And that's fine. There's totally room for that because we actually don't meet for a lot more time of the week than we do meet. Right. So but that 90 minutes that we do meet, it's like it's power packed, and it's important that structure exists because we can expect to give something to that structure and also get something back.
Yeah, and I started, as I mentioned, I started this networking thing for me as an accountability measure, not to keep my lender accountable, but to keep myself accountable.
Sure, to show up and do the stuff.
Yeah, so I have to hack my brain to be more accountable to. Hey, I'm going to meet at this time on this date every week, and I'm going to commit to getting to know the tribe and commit to learning how to give them business, because the more I learn about them, the better I can refer them. But the more I refer them, that means that I'm having really deep conversations with my network as well. And having those deep conversations with my network helps me.
Right.
Because then I uncover all these needs and whatnot that I can help with.
You can help people with. And then it increases your credibility and then your trustworthiness, and then that longevity of those things ends up just dumping profit towards you eventually because people people know that they're going to get what they're going to get what they hear. They're going to get what they see.
Absolutely. My motto, my mantra really that I repeat to myself almost on a daily here is, if I'm a resource for others, I'll always be in demand.
Yeah. No, it's 100% true. No. I mean, I got a text this weekend, like, "Hey, do you know someone who blank?" I'm like, "Yeah, yes. I do." And it was like Saturday morning. Like, well, and actually, I was actually shooting an event on Saturday. I was like I had to go charge in one of my little like gimbal handheld stabilizer things, and I checked my phone. I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, hold on. Here's this person." It was actually for Eddie, but I was like, "Yeah, here, call Eddie right now. Here's his email. If you need to write him, here's his phone number. Pass it on." And that's, being seen as a resource is important because it's not always for you, but it can help the people that you also care about too.
Yeah.
I wanted to actually ask you something because I've seen it true for myself. I'm wondering if it's also true for you, is you've been president a number of times and you've also served on other leadership and support team roles. Have you found that you do BNI better when you are more visible more often in leadership roles?
Yeah, I do. Part of it, I think,
it's not a self-own, by the way. Like, hey, do you put more effort when you're in charge?
No.
Do you slack off when you're not in charge? No, that's not it at all. But like, have you noticed that too?
No, I do. I think there's a higher visibility aspect where you're, especially when you're the president or you're in a leadership role where you have to speak. Like for me, the two most influential positions in BNI when you're in volunteer roles is the president and the education coordinator. Mm-hmm. I think those two are the most influential because those two individuals are doing most of the speaking throughout the agenda, right? So you have the president who's running the show, so to speak, and is consistently speaking, keeping things running the way they should be, keeping everyone accountable and on task, and so forth, and putting in your own flavor and spice to the meeting. The education coordinator, I think, even more influential, maybe.
You're up there every week for 3 to 5 minutes,
right?
Like 3 to
5 minutes, and imparting knowledge onto the group and on a group and individual level. Dropping these nuggets of knowledge that aren't not only just applicable in BNI and networking in and of itself, but for business and life in general. So that person is super influential, really important part of the agenda, really important part of growing the chapter and growing the business for everybody, because that individual gets to, be the professor, so to speak, mm-hmm. right? Be a professor of knowledge and experience and perspective. It's a very crucial position, and it's when I've been education coordinator, I think you've been our best education coordinator.
Thank you, but
I relish in it because it's such an important role. I think president and education coordinator.
There's a lot of visibility there, a lot of responsibility on the kind of the weekly basis. But how have you seen that kind of pivot and not pivot? How have you seen that like kind of influence your membership? Like, did you find that you had more referrals during those times when you were in those roles? And did you find your one-to-ones more quality, or your personal closed business was higher? Like, what was your experience during those times?
So when I've been president or education coordinator, I find it somewhat challenging sometimes to actually schedule one-to-ones, mm-hmm. Both because I feel that sometimes people maybe they hear my voice so much or too much, mm-hmm. right? That it's a little bit challenging. Hey, I want to do a one-to-one. But when I am the president, when I've been the president or the education coordinator, the onus is on me to be even more creative with the one-to-ones, with the questions that I want to ask of the persons sitting across the table from me. The onus is really on me to do a better job of asking more intriguing, more in-depth questions, to go below surface level. So because they hear me so much, so I want to do less talking while I'm at a one-to-one, more in general, but more so when I'm in those positions of influence, so to speak, in the chapter. I want to speak even less. So I ask broader, deeper questions, more detailed questions, to bring out the
elicit some information
from the person across me. So
and also by default, and most people, you don't know this necessarily unless you're in one of these roles, is like you also start hearing a lot more stuff like, hey, did you notice it, or hey, have we ever thought about, or what do you think about this? So there's a lot of other stuff that kind of just kind of comes your direction because you're kind of like in charge, but you're not in charge, you're just volunteering in this role. But good ideas come out of that.
Absolutely.
And also some things that every once in a while there's some advice, you're like, you know what, you're right, we could tighten that up. We can all be better at that. You know what, I'll have to try that I have to do that first.
Absolutely.
I got to demonstrate that for everybody before I can say, hey, we all need to do this. No, I got to do it. And then I guys, okay, can we all do it too? Can we all do this?
Absolutely.
Can we all start open networking at 6:45? Yes.
Yes.
It's been awesome. We've had some really great leaders in our. There's a lot of leaders in our group, man. I'm thinking about it right now, like just on the fly. I'm thinking, man, we've had some really good leaders. There's a lot. We have a lot of them.
We have a really good, a great core of members. In general, our chapters really from the collective. We have a really high quality group. From not only just the level of professionalism that these individuals have, but the quality of human beings that we have. We have some very giving, contributing members, and the ones who have stepped up to volunteer and lead, or to be in the we say the background roles like membership committee and so forth. They've been really quality and have really owned their roles. And at the end of the day, I think when you're networking, it's really about ownership. You have to own the role, own the space, own the meeting, irrespective of you being a president or being a general member. You have to own the meeting and go in there with the plan and have an idea of what you want to speak on. Specifically, when you're making a request for a referral, you have to have a plan of attack for that so that you can get good results.
I think about, my mentality when I'm in leadership in a position like this, like being president right now. I think about it as I have a weekly meeting with my office team, my sales team, and our company does $2.5 million a year, working towards 3.5. And we're also looking to grow our team from 30 to 45 people. Yeah. So I have okay, if I was the owner of this business, how would I approach this meeting in preparation? How would I execute this meeting? How would I encourage and promote people to take the right actions to help grow the team, which they all benefit from, not just the owner or the person in leadership position. But I mean, when you scrape the layers back, you're like, hey, we have a 30-person sales force and our business does $3 million a year right now.
Yeah.
That's substantial enough to treat it seriously.
Absolutely.
and also it's a reflection of who we have, like you're saying. Like the quality of people we have is amazing.
So, in over the last 2 decades almost here with I always get and I'm sure you get this a lot more as president now. But you've always been an influencer in our chapter, not an Instagram. Well, you kind of are a social media influencer too, but
I don't know.
But you've been an influencer.
This may not even make it on the internet.
No. But I always get the question once in a while from, it's typically someone who's been in BNI less than a year, or right around the year. Hey, I'm not quite getting the results that I want, Miguel. I don't know if this is going to work for me. So one of the leading questions that I have for those individuals is like, well, tell me about what your goals are. Well, I don't really know. I'm like, well, okay. Well, if you don't really know what your goals are, then how do you know you're doing well or doing badly?
Right.
You're just not getting the outputs that you desire, but what are the inputs? So let's focus on the inputs. Let's talk about, your one-to-ones. Are you doing face-to-face meetings with the member? Well, I don't really have a lot of time for that. And, you guys have heard me say this a lot in BNI. The secret sauce to this thing succeeding is doing these face-to-face meetings and one-to-ones, as we call them in BNI. So I'm like, okay, so have you done one-to-ones? Well, I don't do that many. Well, let's start off by doing more.
Yeah.
And when you go there, start, have a plan. Don't just go have coffee and have a laugh. Go in there with the idea of, I want to learn more about that person across the table from me. And I also want to teach them about what I do and what I need so that they can, have top of mind awareness when it comes to a referral opportunity for you. And then the other one is, well, do you have a plan of attack for your weekly asks? Well, I just make a general request. I'm like, well, if you make a general request, you're going to get general results.
Yeah.
So let's go more specific. Well, I don't know how to do that. Well, can you do a niche?
Yeah.
Can you work on a niche of your business and ask for that? And sometimes people have a challenge with that. So the number one recommendation I make, and I follow this to suit, and you'll when I say this, you're going to say, yes, you've been doing this, Miguel, this month. So I typically will make the same or similar request for about 3 to 4 weeks, maybe sometimes 5 weeks. So, I might ask for for instance, I've been asking for probates this
Probates, yeah.
I've been asking
and
for
professional
probates.
fiduciaries.
Right.
Yep.
So I've been asking for, and I've been, we're in October, so I've been, talking about zombies and, but my theme has been all about probate for this month. And, I've asked for a fiduciary and then I've switched it up, and I still ask for probate, not a fiduciary, but I asked for someone who inherited a property in probate. And then I've asked for a probate attorney referral, right? So you keep the theme going, because repetition, it helps with people remembering what it is that you do. And oftentimes, individuals in BNI, they're scared to theme out their month, for instance, because I do much more than just probate. Yeah. You're gonna get those. You're gonna get the. Hopefully, you get the like for me. Hopefully, I'll get a probate referral, but more than likely, I'm gonna get a general real estate referral.
Right.
It's still a referral. I want referrals, period. But if I'm consistent with my messaging and the theme of my request, I find that I get more referrals that way, because it's stickier in the brain for the people receiving my request. So it's stickier versus, today I'm doing multifamily, tomorrow I'm going to do probates, and then divorce sales. And, so if I theme it out, then it's just that stickiness of marketing. Yeah. It's just so sticky. And all I really want is top of mind awareness, so that when that opportunity comes, it might be a year down the road, but I repeated probate so much through this month that maybe 6 months down the road, someone will have a probate in front of them, like, oh my God, Miguel does probate.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yes. Boom. Let's refer Miguel. He does probate.
Well, and something I think it's worth mentioning is that yes, there are oftentimes when people are in BNI for the first 6 months, 12 months, 18 months even, and maybe it's just not what they expected. And then what people sometimes are inclined to do, and this isn't an accusation, it's just what I've noticed and observed, is people, let me just try something different. But it's like they skip over what tools are already in front of you, what systems and structures are in front of you. Do those first. And there's this old adage in BNI, like the fun is in the fundamentals. Yeah. And it's almost too simple to say that, like, literally, if you just do the fundamentals, it will work. But it's true too. Yeah. And if you just do the one-to-one and you use the one-to-one worksheets, if you try to look for a referral, even a relationship referral or a transactional referral, that's going to help you and help membership. Yeah. If you bring a visitor once a month, if you attend every week, if you do open networking, if you structure your ask and you get specific, like, all of these things work. And oftentimes people are so in a hurry to try something new before even they'll try the stuff that actually has been proven time and time again to work.
Yeah. And I think too, a layer of that is changing the paradigm from transactional to relational. I know it sounds kind of cliche to say it that way, but at the end of the day, really what we are is a relationship-based team.
You're going with the bucket and the well thing? Like, you want me to hand you a bucket, or you want me to hand you show you to a well where there are numerous buckets? Exactly.
So oftentimes when people are making referral requests, they're requesting, and there's nothing wrong with requesting transactional type of referrals, because transactions are the lifeblood of businesses, right? But oftentimes many individuals miss the relational type of referral requests that are more important, because it's a channel of water coming to you versus just a one bucket, or like the old adage, do you want me to teach you how to fish, or do you want me to feed you fish? Right. So the relationship request is more of a, teach me how to fish. Yeah. And then you could scale the networking a lot more.
What's a favorite memory you have just about your BNI experience, or something, funny or interesting that's happened that maybe most people don't know about, whether it's to you or just or in the chapter in general? Oh, anything really unique and special? Oh, so I brought one up the other day. Maybe this will spark your memory to think of something else. So I'll go first. So do you remember John Cano? Yeah. Our business banker many, many years ago. Yes. He used to be a gymnast. Yes. He was a collegiate Division I gymnast. And before his feature presentation, he would do a backflip, like in his dress shirt, his pants, suit pants, and his tie, and he would just do a standing backflip, and he'd be like, okay, and now today we're going to talk about SBA loans. So I just remember that, like, that's so unique and different.
I do remember. He was great at that too.
He would just stick it, like, dude, you're in business clothes, just sticking a standing backflip. Okay.
Well, recently, a recent one which I loved, Paul Academia in our chapter. He was talking about his backstory, which I love when individuals come up, present, and tell us a little bit about their personal life and their backstory, or their origin story. So he stated that he used to be a breakdancer and would perform at SeaWorld. And he started doing the flare right before the meeting. And I'm like, holy crap, that's freaking awesome, because Paul is in his 50s and man,
he's still doing it.
He's still doing it, man. And I thought that was so impressive.
Get that man some cardboard.
Yeah, give him a cardboard and a boombox. I was inspired. So
can you imagine him like in an Adidas jumpsuit with a chain on?
I loved every second of it.
That would be so great.
Freaking cool.
Man, we should have him dress up like that some days. Like, hey, dress up like the you from 20 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever.
And I do always enjoy when Alex Cannon presents and he has a cast.
Yeah,
you know,
when he has the other attorneys act like people,
and they're reenacting a case. I love it, man. I'm like Perry Mason, Matlock.
Oh, dude, we got some characters in our group, don't we?
Yeah, so we keep it fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk specifically about what's going on in real estate right now. I mean, you kind of talked about, hey, Q4, I need to get a certain number of deals done for the end of the year. You had just mentioned goals a couple minutes ago, just about members having goals for themselves in BNI, and you had stated a couple of goals for yourself. So, where do you find yourself now in the end of 2024 with real estate in San Diego, affordability, you got all this stuff? Like, what's working right now for you with real estate in general, and then how's BNI helping in that, or how can we continue helping in that?
Yeah, so BNI has always been a solid component of my business plan. It's not the only component because it ebbs and flows. It goes in waves, and for everyone out there, networking is like that, and just like anything, it's you're gonna have good months and good years, and you're gonna have like not so good months and good years. But for the most part, from BNI, I could probably tell you that. Close to six figures plus from BNI yearly. Yeah. And that's phenomenal. So goals wise, well, let's talk about real estate. Real estate, it has its challenges. San Diego specific too. It's one of the most, costly areas to live in. One of the most.
There's an affordability challenge.
There's a crisis of affordability. So. There's a lot going on there. So we're really extremely rate sensitive in San Diego, so the higher rates, low inventory levels. We still have very low inventory levels for what we need, and that poses a challenge. It's not an affordable place to live. Mm-hmm. It's a high quality area to live in. We have the best climate, if not the best, one of the best climates in the world. Yeah. It's a relatively safe community at large, most of the county. We have beaches, we have mountains, we have deserts, we have a downtown that's robust. We have like hipster neighborhoods like North Park that are awesome. We have great restaurants. We can be just about anywhere you want to be. Mm-hmm. If you want to go to the mountains, you can be there in less than an hour. If you want to be in the desert too. Yeah. If you want to go to the beach, it's right there. If you want to go to Mexico, it's right there
too.
So
it's also one of our landlocked problems, though, isn't it? Yeah. You can't build west, you can't build south. It's like, where do we go?
Exactly.
Up and east, maybe.
Right. So the trend that we're seeing right now is a lot of ADU building, accessory dwelling units. So that's the future. We're addressing a density problem. Lack of inventory. Yeah, but we're gonna need more density. So from a political standpoint and a paradigmal standpoint, we do have a lot of NIMBYs in San Diego, not in my backyard, which oppose a lot of development, which we highly need. And that's just the truth of the matter. The old way of developing is not sustainable for San Diego. We can't just continue to build out east. One, because we're killing nature. Yeah. But two,
there was a project a couple months ago that was stopped, like a 1,300 unit development that actually didn't proceed because a preservation society bought the land that the developer was trying to get permits for.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that. So, we have environmental, protection, legislation in place that protects a lot of our open spaces, which I think is a good thing. So we can't continue to build east and suburban sprawl. It's not sustainable for our region. We don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the mass transit, and we don't have the buy-in from San Diegans or Southern Californians in general. We are just in love with our vehicles, with our cars. We are not going to get rid of our cars. And we haven't built a robust or fast enough transit system.
Transportation
to really make an impact in our traffic.
It's like a missing compensating factor.
It is.
It's like you can put all these other things, but it's like, oh, you're missing that part that's going to help with this. And it's that these log jams, they're not working together.
Yeah, and it's above my pay grade.
No, I know. I'm just making an observational like statement. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying like it's a missing element. We don't have transportation.
No, we don't.
Moving in that direction as quickly as we have ADUs being built.
No, like we need if we could get a bullet train here, San Diego to LA. Imagine the work opportunities that San Diegans can have going. Yeah. We have a lot of talent in San Diego that could possibly travel to.
You mean the Amtrak isn't fast enough for you?
No, it's not fast enough. It's not fast enough. But granted, we have a lot more individuals working from home these days because post-pandemic, the adoption of virtual or remote work is high. So we have a lot more individuals working from home, and that causes another problem too because everyone's at home too.
Yeah.
Right? So transportation we don't have, the infrastructure for commuting we don't really have. We can't continue to go east. So the only way we could go is up, and more density. But San Diegans are, for the most part, anti. Density.
There's a lot of resistance to that.
There's a lot.
View blocking and noise and density, like lack of park. I mean, North Park right now is having a huge parking problem.
Absolutely.
I have to drive there every week for this recurring meeting I go to. It's hard to find parking. And a lot of times I end up just paying for parking, which, it comes out of my contract expense, but it's like, I got to go to this meeting every week.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, so it's a problem. So
I should buy a spot. Actually, now that I just thought of that, I should just rent a spot. Oh my God, I should just rent a spot.
There you go.
Okay. Just solve my own problem. You know that Chase building? The Chase building right there? It has like that parking spot. I'm going to go check that out.
Yeah, go see
if I can rent a spot there, I'd have a spot waiting for me every week.
Why not?
Dude, all right, problem solved. Cool. Well, for this one scenario, not for San Diego at large.
Right. So NIMBYism is a problem, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for that. So we need a little bit more YIMBYism. Yes, in my backyard, but that takes an open mind. So it takes.
I get that. It also doesn't hurt property values.
No, it doesn't hurt.
Because if we're having a inventory issue, that's going to hold prices up. And then even if you add inventory with ADUs or multifamily building, like people are going to have to go live there. There's going to be rent assigned to those places or a purchase price for that place. So I don't see it like plummeting values. I know the problem is not about the value,
right?
But there's kind of both things happening at once. Or not both, but multiple things happening at once. Like we need the inventory. People got to have a place to live. And then, there are people like, no, I don't want this next to my house. I don't want another building out my master bedroom window where I can't see the sunset anymore or whatever. So I get that.
So the short-term solution, the trend that I'm seeing now is ADUs, but not just one ADU, multiple ADUs on a property. It makes a lot of sense for the homeowner. And that's going to be a quick Band-Aid for our demand, so we have a lot of demand for housing, both for ownership and rental. The only issue that I see now with the multiple ADUs is that a lot of and I don't have numbers on this, but a lot of the, at least in my experience, a lot of these ADUs that are being built, a lot of them are being rented as short-term rentals, so Airbnbs. So they're not really solving the housing crisis for us yet, but it is a good income stream for the owner,
right? But if it's short-term, it's not actually providing housing as shelter as it's measured in the definition reads. So
correct. So that's the only issue that I see. So I don't know if this ADU solution is going to be the right one for San Diego. Because of that, but then Airbnbs, short-term rentals are getting governed, and
because there's certain neighborhoods that aren't going to allow that anyway. So maybe there's some maybe there's some kind of like governance of that'll maybe limit some of that. Like how much legs do you think this thing has? Like, do you think we're going to be in this for 5 years, 10 years? Like if you were to, I know this is a wild guess and no one's going to nail your feet to the floor on this, but like, what would you say based on your the current rate of ADUs being built, the inventory demand we have, plus the new rule changing now that you can sell an ADU that's on your parcel separate from your own main house.
Yes.
Like that's coming up January 2025. That's allowed. I forgot about that until right now. I think
that's a big opportunity for individuals because depending on how your lot is laid out, and your comfort level of how much do you want to give up and of your own lot and your tenants, but
there's also easement questions to answer in a lot of them.
So there's a deal in Bonita that I was looking at. They're building an ADU and it looks like their plan is to do a lot split and sell the ADU. It's a big ADU, beautiful, and I'm guesstimating that it probably cost them about $350,000 to build this ADU. It's a beautiful building that they're constructing there. And if they do a lot split and sell it, they're probably going to get close to 750, 800.
What?
Yeah. So it's
oh my gosh.
Because of the location and the way it's laid out.
And the size, apparently.
And the size of it. Yeah.
Jeez.
So,
okay.
That's more than doubling their money.
Dang.
That's a great investment.
Wow.
So that could be a solution. As far to your question, it takes about 2 to 3 years from initiation of your project. From
your idea.
Here's a design I want, designing it, submitting for permits, getting permits, and then initiating construction, and then going through every subsequent inspection afterward.
Yeah.
And then finalizing, getting your final inspection. It takes about 3 years. So if that's the case, so doing some math. 3 years, and there's a lot in the pipe.
There's a lot pending, yeah.
So I think we have a good 10 years. 10 years
wow.
of all these ADUs. So in 10 years, we'll see if it fixed the problem or not, or if it's just a bunch of Airbnbs.
Do you foresee, we've talked about a couple of potential issues regarding this, transportation's one of them, density, the, not in my backyardism, but what are some other potential issues with the county, not really the county allowing it. I'm not going to give the county credit. The state of California is like, we're going to let people do this. The counties are like, oh, we have to play along. Yeah. The cities are like, oh, we have to play along too now. HOAs even now, oh, we got to play along. So what other potential things do you see on the horizon that might be troublesome or problematic?
Troublesome for ADUs specific, or
with the way that we're doing this. Okay, there can be traffic and density challenges probably, right? There's going to be some sort of legal issues that come out of the whole you can sell your ADU separate from your main house thing. I know that's coming because, again, you're just going to have to, things are going to unfold. And you go, oh, here's a case with this situation. Now what do we do about that? There's another case with this situation. What do we do about that?
North Park's probably a good case study for that. And maybe soon 3rd Avenue, Chula Vista. And the reason I bring up North Park.
That's a good point, actually. I didn't think about that.
Because there's a lot of infill development. Yeah. So mid-rise apartment or condo.
Dude, I drive past them and they're like hundreds of units.
Yes.
They're mid-rise, but there's hundreds of units.
And they're addressing
not like dozens.
They're addressing the problem of units that we need, right? So, for instance, downtown Chula Vista has a little bit of that going on too. More infill development, mid-rise apartments, condos, etc. A really good solution, really forward-thinking, I think. The biggest deal for that is traffic impacts. And right now, depending on how many of those units are reserved for moderate or lower income, they lessen the parking restrictions for development. So what we're seeing in North Park, as you mentioned, you have a problem in North Park with parking. Yeah. So it's going to be a big issue. So it's going to force the hand of the county, the cities, all the municipalities, the state at the state level to have a solution for that, either getting more people out of their cars and either working from home or using transit. But as I mentioned earlier, San Diegans are in love with their vehicles. Yeah. So I foresee
again, back to your whole weather point. Like if people got convertibles here, they're using it.
Yeah. And it's only one driver in the car, It's like
it's not a convertible limo with 12 people. Exactly. It's one person.
So my prediction is maybe in the next 5 years, I think traffic impact studies will kill a lot of projects. So
wow. Yes, okay.
So that's my prediction.
Yeah, because something has to have a priority, right? Like the priority right now is make as much housing as possible.
Absolutely.
At almost any expense.
Absolutely. So traffic impacts will kill some deals.
I know what's happening. Some of the businesses are being negatively affected in that area because that's great. The development's going there. That's a lot more people that can come to my shop. Guess what can't happen? People come to your place from out of the area to buy because they can't find a parking spot. I know someone, I won't mention the story, but the store, because it's closed. It closed literally a week ago because after opening and being open for like 6 months, the new developments that just got greenlit are going to remove the parking from in front of their store. Wow. And I'm not going to stay here. I can't stay here and let this happen and actually expect to be open and profitable while this is also happening.
There's a new restaurant that opened in Millennia Project.
Yeah.
And I was invited to a birthday event there. It took me an hour to find parking.
What?
Yeah, I couldn't find parking.
What? It was like a Friday or Saturday night or something?
No, it was on a Thursday.
Geez.
Yeah, but there was a lot of sports going on, and
Well, I guess I shouldn't be okay if it was a Friday or Saturday either. For an hour?
Yeah, it took me almost an hour to find
In
parking.
an hour, you could have walked from your house in Bonita probably.
No,
to get
I should have parked in Otay Ranch.
should take an Uber.
And walked to
Dude, I know. Apparently.
Yeah.
But you didn't know that. I mean, I'm
No.
guessing you didn't know that because you're kind of saying it like it was a surprise.
No, it was a surprise. I hadn't been there. I didn't know where the restaurant was. It was cool concept because the restaurant is situated amongst apartments and condos.
Yeah.
And soon to be office buildings.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So a great venue. I'm
Yeah.
like, holy crap. And I got invited again. I'm like, I'm not going. Because
Okay, so when I went there, I actually parked. So I know what you're talking about. So I had gone during the day at lunch. It was JC and I.
Yeah.
One of my editors, JC. Shout out JC. Him and I were
JC.
having lunch at a different place, and we walked through the new neighborhood, and we went to that place.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, okay, it's like a 7-minute walk from where we were at, and that was fine. But you know what I realized? There's very little parking over there.
None. So next time I go, I'll probably Uber there.
Yeah.
So and then there's that concept. If development continues to happen the way it is, and we don't care about traffic impacts, then when we get self-driving vehicles and self-driving cabs, quote unquote Ubers, then that solves the problem, right?
Do you want that? Do you like the novelty of that, or are you kind of like just like, nah, I don't like that at all? 'Cause
Man,
I like driving.
I'm a San Diegan. I love driving.
I love driving. Like
I love driving.
Driving's fun for me.
But man, you know what? I would love to commute and be able to read a book.
I would love that too.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
So, or maybe take a nap. That would be awesome.
Sometimes books will make you fall asleep.
True.
Yeah.
But I would love to read a book. That's what I love about trains. When I travel abroad and I'm on a train, I'm like, oh, this is so cool, so relaxing. I'm going to read my book.
Dude, perfect segue, because one of the things I was going to bring up was you climbing Mount Kilimanjaro.
Yes.
So can we just like jump right to that? Jump cut right to that. Okay, forget all this other real estate. Okay,
Yeah.
You need real estate advice, go talk to Miguel. If you are a probate attorney or you're a professional fiduciary, reach Miguel.
Please.
His contact information is in the description box. Talk to me about Mount Kilimanjaro, man. I know you came back up. First of all, congratulations.
Thank
You
you.
made it all the way up.
Yes.
It was so cool watching your Instagram stories.
Thank you.
And then you also made it back down.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes.
Welcome back.
I'm glad you acknowledged that because, man, the ascent is just hard work. It's just grinding every day. So my group, my buddies and I, we chose. There's multiple routes you could take to summit Uhuru Peak on Kilimanjaro, and we chose, I believe it's the second to third longest route. So 6 days ascending and 1 day and change descending.
I was going to say that sounds like a long hike.
Oh man, it's a long hike. I mean, we averaged about 8 hours or so a day.
I need to have more sayings in my library because I didn't mean that.
It was a long hike, brother. It was long. But you know what? It was a beautiful experience and so many takeaways and perspectives that could be applied to life in general.
You'd mentioned that. So
Yeah. So
give us something, man. Share something.
I'll give you three.
Three. All right. Number one.
Number one. So, life is more than just goals.
Okay, hold on. You just said about goals like maybe 10 minutes ago.
Yes.
We're talking about goals are important, this and that. Now you're going to hit me with life's more important than goals.
Life is more than just goals.
Not more important. Sorry, I misheard you.
Yeah,
Misstated that. Life is more than just goals.
Life is more than just goals. And here's what I'm getting at. So it took us 6 days to get to the summit, Uhuru Peak. 6 days. Okay, and let me break down day 5 and 6 for you. So day 5, we hiked from Karanga camp to Barafu camp, which is base camp. So that's the camp you were going to summit from. So it took us probably a good 6.5 hours of hard hiking. I mean, and it's not a technical climb. It's not like Everest where you need ropes, but you're working, man.
Yeah, but you said 6.5 hours. And so that my face went like, what?
Yes, 6.5 hours. We get to Barafu camp, base camp. And our guides tell us, all right, guys, put your bags down for 10 minutes, grab some water, grab a snack.
10 minutes.
We're doing an acclimatization hike.
Mm-hmm.
So another hour going up part of the summit run that we were going to do just to get acclimated, not only to so we're going up to get some elevation and then back down.
You come back down, yeah.
So you feel better. It works. It's a good system. So the whole week we're, climbing like this to to give us the best chance of
Yeah, you can't just straight shoot that thing.
You can, but you might bleed
Well,
out.
that's why I just jumped to the you can't. Like, you should not be doing that, right?
No, especially if you live at sea level like we do.
Yeah.
Now
Now, the Sherpas, I mean, they're probably okay with doing that, right?
Oh,
Wait, do they call them Sherpas?
They're called over there.
not called
Sherpas is
Sherpas.
more like Nepal.
That's Nepal. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but porters,
Thank
guides,
you.
guides.
I forgot the word.
Those guys are incredible, and really all the glory goes to them, man, because these guys are doing an amazing job and exerting physically. I mean, they're not only are they carrying their bag, but they're carrying a lot of our stuff with them too on their heads, balancing it. You know, you are bouldering in some areas, and these guys are
That's so crazy,
insane. And so we take off from each camp. We take off before them, and then they break down camp, and then they pass us on the trail. Like,
for real? They're
I
thought I saw in the pictures. I saw y'all like kind of walking together. So I was like, oh, cool, you're walking together.
No,
You're saying they caught up
they
to
caught
you,
up to us and passed us,
bro?
And
What?
Yes.
I either overlooked that or didn't see that part. But
No,
okay,
and
wow.
then you get to camp and it's already set up.
What?
Like, I mean,
Oh my gosh!
my buddies and I were looking at each other like, man, we are such wusses, man. Like, these guys are incredible.
And you had prepared for this hike too, so it wasn't like you just woke up. You're like, hey, I'm going to go do this massive hike today.
No,
Like, you've been doing this for months.
we trained. We put in a lot of miles, a lot of hikes. So as I mentioned, so we go to base camp. It took us 6.5 hours to get there. We do another hour acclimatizing hike, get back down, have lunch. They tell us, okay, at that point, it's probably about 2:30 in the afternoon-ish. And they tell us, try to go to sleep. We're going to wake you up at 10 for dinner. I couldn't sleep, man. It was the middle of the day. Maybe.
Right outside.
Right when I was falling asleep, they woke us up.
Oh no!
They woke us up.
It's like being a parent.
Had dinner, and we're at this point. Base camp's at about 15,000 and change in elevation, feet of elevation. I mean, I was like force feeding myself dinner. I just couldn't eat, and the rest of us too. We couldn't eat. So, 11:45, we start our summit run. It's steep. It's not like this. It's like this, like almost a 50%, like 50% angle.
Wow.
I mean, your calves are burning, your hips are burning.
You have to be very careful though at that angle too, because if you slip, you're tumbling. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So they put us in line, and we're wearing headlamps. It's dark. It's pitch black, and you can only see whatever your light's shining.
Oh,
you're in line with your buddies, and you're just grinding, right? And I look up, I look behind me, and all I see is a string of lights. Everyone's headlamps.
Wow.
The guides. And
do you have a picture of this?
I do. I don't.
Let's if you do, let's put it in the show.
Yeah,
we'll put it right here so people can see what you're talking about.
So it's this beautiful display. It looks like a Christmas tree. Right?
Wow.
It's beautiful. And I'm guesstimating. I'm like, holy crap, there's a lot of people on this summit run with me right now. And I would say there was probably anywhere between 300 and 350 people at the same time.
Oh, that's a lot.
A ton. Because so every climber, typically the strategy there is every climber has a porter next to him to help in the event that you need help with your carrying your bag or what have you. So we're climbing and climbing. And you're like, wow, this is so beautiful. And then I look up, and I'm not looking up like this, Andy. I'm looking up like this.
Eyes up and neck back. Wow.
Like, wow, this is beautiful. But why is that light so far away? It's so far away. Gone. And I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing here?
Oh, my God.
What did I sign up for? This sucks. This really sucks. But then you have this, epiphany, and you're like, well, I'm here. There's nothing I can do about it. Let's just grind it out. So I started playing these little games.
Yeah, you're kind of like saying, like, there's a part of you that's like, I signed up for this, so I'm going to do this.
Yeah. You have to be a little bit of a masochist. So I'm playing this game. 1, 2, 1, 2, just trying to keep pace with my feet. Because at that point, all I'm worried about is just my feet.
Yeah,
moving forward.
Just keep moving.
When that stops working, my buddy in front of me, I'm trying to just match his cadence, so I'm making a game out of it, and I'm laughing. Like every time I mess up, I'm laughing. So when that stops working, I just kind of start checking in on my dudes. Hey, you doing good? You doing good? You doing good? Yeah, they're checking in on me. And what I really want to say is like, this really sucks. But I'm like, let's go. We're pumping each other up, and the more we're pumping each other up, the more steam I get, the more juiced and the more amped I get about. Let's do this. We're gonna finish this. And it was a beautiful experience. And then I was able, in that summit run to kind of transcend time and space. And I was able to connect with my children and really see them encouraging me. And like, what would Sarah tell me? What would Mateo tell me?
Yeah.
What would Gia tell me? What would my wife tell me at this time? Go, daddy, go, daddy. So that pumped me up. That kept me going. And we get up to the top. I told you we started at 11:45.
Yeah, 11:45.
We're summiting. I start seeing the sun come out.
Oh man.
Oh wow. Like two things happen. That's the most beautiful sunrise I've ever seen. I mean, we're like at nearly 20,000 feet of elevation at the rooftop of Africa. This beautiful sun coming up with this beautiful, above the clouds, just wow.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, holy crap. That means it's about 6:30 in the morning. I've been at this for almost 7 hours.
Time check.
I'm so tired.
Oh my gosh.
So we get to this point, and Kilimanjaro has 3 craters. One of them is inaccessible. It's just, you can, but it's a super technical climb, and you have to sign a waiver. If you die, you die.
Oh, okay.
I'm not doing that one. So there's a Stella Point. It's a crater, and then there's Uhuru Peak, which is the top, the summit. So we get to Stella Point, and technically, if you get to Stella Point and don't go any further, you still get a certificate because it's considered a second summit on Kilimanjaro, and it's the second highest summit on Africa.
Oh, wow.
Right. So you can still get a certificate of
cool.
summiting. You know, you get this, get a green certificate. So we get to Stella Point. And so I was telling you the climb was like this steep. We get to Stella Point and it levels off a little bit like this, but it feels like it's flat. Like, oh my God.
Like relief.
Andy, the second I set foot onto the area where the sign is for Stella Point, my right eye goes blind.
Wait, what?
It goes blind. It completely fogged over. I could see shapes, but I had no detail. And it was completely fogged over.
What was that?
I thought it was dirt. I thought maybe I got dirt in my eye it was a dusty climb. And I just couldn't see. So, and I put on, the only way I noticed it is I put my goggles, my snow goggles on. It was cold up there and it was bright, obviously, with the sun. And I thought my goggles were dirty. So I took it off and I started cleaning my goggles and I put them back on. I'm like, oh shit, it's still foggy. And then I took it off again. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. My eye is completely fogged over. I have dust in my eyes. So I tried to clear it out. Nothing. It just completely went blind on me. So I think it had something to do with the elevation.
Wow.
So I started to panic a little bit because I thought, whoa, shoot, what if I lose my eyesight or a capillary burst or damage my retina or whatever?
That'd be scary.
It was a little scary. But I was like, Uhuru Peak is right there, man. It's like right there. Let's go. I'll figure it out.
That like killer in you is like, let's go. Let's keep going.
Let's keep going. So, I get up to Uhuru Peak and I take my picture of Uhuru Peak, but I don't take my goggles off because my eye is killing me at this point.
Wow.
So you get your picture at the peak, at the sign, whatever. It's like 10 minutes. You're hanging out, taking pictures, laughing. You know, I'm hugging my boys. I'm, kind of tearing up. This is such a big accomplishment. And then right away, our guides are like, let's go. We got to go. Like, well, what's the rush? What's the rush? No, we got to get you guys off of this. We got to get you guys to lower ground. So they start just rushing us off. And then we make our descent. And the descent is fast. It's equally steep, not as rocky. It's sandy. So there were parts where so sandy that we're kind of using our trekking poles. And it was almost as if we were skiing. I was sliding down.
Wow.
Just using the angle of the mountain.
Angle and gravity.
And just like, I'm going to slide down.
Ooh.
And it was painful, man. The descent was more painful. So
get those shin splints in the front. And
oh my God, your knees killing. And it was steep. So it took us almost 7 hours to get to Uhuru Peak. It took us 4 hours and change to get back to base camp. At base camp, they tell us, you only have 2 hours of rest, get some food. They feed us, we eat. Do not go to sleep. We need to get off of this elevation level. So we're not allowed to hang out and spend the night here. So we do another 4.5 hours down the mountain. Rocky terrain. It's steep, painful. We get to camp. it's rain. Before we get to camp, it's raining. The next camp down, it's raining. We're in the jungle, and it's muddy. We're exhausted and we're beat. And we're like, that was such a beautiful experience, man. It was awesome. It was so awesome. We get to camp, rest. We have dinner. I go to sleep. I think 7 p.m. I'm out. Everybody's out. And
yeah, you'd almost been up 24 hours at that point.
Hiking. So we did
right 7 up, 4 down, and then another 4.
4.5. Yeah.
Or
so
4. Okay.
Yeah. So
16 hours
of just straight camping, man. So
straight
hiking. Sorry,
yeah.
hiking. Straight hiking.
No, camping includes sleeping.
Yeah, true. So we go to sleep, wake up the next morning, have breakfast, another 3.5 hour hike down, and then we're out.
Okay, wait. Why were they hustling you off the top?
They just wanted us. They wanted to avoid any of us getting elevation sickness.
Oh,
yes. So on the way there, all 6 days, making our trek up the mountain, we kept hearing helicopters. And we're like, oh, what's that? Is that
rescuing
initially?
people?
I thought it was someone touring and just like flying around the peak. Like, no, that's a rescue helicopter.
Oh,
So multiple helicopters a day. On day 5, when we're heading up to base camp, 5 of them. 5.
Oh, that sounds like a lot.
When we get to base camp and do our acclimatizing hike, we see a ton of people with elevation sickness.
Oh boy.
There was one guy that stands out that it looked like his soul just left his body. Ooh. And it just jello. His eyes it looked odd. It looked so scary. And they rushed him off, and the helicopter came for him. And I think our guide saw it in our faces, like, oh shit, like that could happen to us. And they reassured us, like, hey, we're taking every measure for that not to happen to you, but that could be your reality. So we're gonna move up, and we're gonna come down fast.
Just hustle you back.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And
that's intense, dude.
It was intense. And what I'm getting at is that life is more than goals, because my goal was to summit Uhuru Peak.
Yeah.
I summited Uhuru Peak. I loved every minute of it. And I was only up there for 10 minutes.
Wow. Wow.
Right? But you know what I remember the most is that freaking grind up the mountain with my buddies, and the camaraderie, the energy with them, the love, the affection that they had for me, and vice versa for them. And the porters helping us, guiding us, pumping us up, singing for us to cheer us up, make sure that we weren't like literally sleepwalking, because we were all sleep deprived.
Sure.
But that experience in and of itself was worth way more. That grind up the mountain was way more than the goal to actually be up in the summit, man. So goals drive you. And what I'm getting at, that life is more than your goals, is that I think oftentimes people have these goals, and then they define themselves by said goal. And if they accomplish it or don't accomplish it, their whole definition is based on that goal. And they miss out on all the beauty that happens during the journey towards that goal, right? So that's why I think life is more than your goals.
That's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
Wow.
So again, you go to summit Kilimanjaro, you get to the summit, and you're only there for 10 minutes.
Whoa, man.
Right? So it's more than the 10 minutes. It's the actual whole week that I was there, the whole experience, the connecting with people from another part of the world that I've never been to, and then connecting with my friends on another level, because we're all doing hard shit up there and torturing ourselves and going through it. And we're making sure that we're all doing well, and we're all encouraging each other and loving on each other, so that we all get to the summit together. So we all want to get there together.
So you mentioned life is more than the goal.
Yeah.
What you said, there was 2 other things. There's 3 things. So what are the other lessons that
Here's the other
take
one
away from this?
So there's an old African adage that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go further, go together. And that leads me to my the second takeaway. It's about your tribe, man. And life is really about community. We're pack animals, humans. We need a pack. And the more engaged you are with your community, with your tribe, your people, the more of a give and take that you have with them, the better your life's going to be, the quality of your life is going to be. And I saw it firsthand on the mountain. For me, one of the beautiful things that I observed on the mountain was how these Tanzanian men who were assisting us, were guiding us, were carrying our heavy crap for us. So these Western babies could make it up the mountain, right? But they were doing it with such glee, such joy, and genuine, care. It just puts things into perspective for you, and you start thinking to yourself, most humans are good people, and we get all this divisiveness on TV and on social media about, led by politicians and whatnot. And you realize, no, that's not the truth, man. The truth is that people are good for the most part. And, having a community of people makes things worthwhile. And when you drive into an endeavor based on how you can help your tribe move forward, it's so much better, man, than if you just focus on how can I move forward. It's how can we move forward, right? And one of the things I saw firsthand with these Tanzanian men is how affectionate these men were with one another, helping themselves journey through this path that we were on for us. But they would check in on each other. I could see them affectionately care for one another, joking with one another, encouraging them one another, because some of these porters were newer. They weren't as acclimatized to the mountain as others. And you could see them helping one another. We brought a bunch of snacks and candies and so forth, because the tour operator told us, hey, these porters, they love American candy. Like, if you guys want to, treat them. So we brought a ton of candy and goodies for them. And we had given it to them up front, and we had carried a bunch of snacks for ourselves. And we had, I remember my buddy Victor had brought some really cool dried fruit, apricots, and then he had some dried beets with salt, and the porters hadn't tasted them, so he gave it to them. And in our American or Western paradigm is like, hey, if someone gives you something, it's for you, right? These guys made sure, and we observed this firsthand multiple times, whenever we gave them anything, like, here, have this is for you. They made sure that the crew would get a piece of it.
They all shared it.
Wow. Man. Like, there was not a selfish bone in them.
That's super
cool.
And
when you're out in the mountain like that, when you're out, and I would assume that even more so at harder treks like K2 or Everest, or just being out in the wilderness, when you're out there, you want to make sure your tribe survives, because 2 is better than 1 for survival, So that's the second takeaway is, you need a tribe. Mm-hmm. You need a community that gives to you, but more importantly, you give to it, and you're encouraging to move forward. And it's what I love about nature and hikes, particularly when you're out there with the group. You get to check out, man. All the distractions are done, and
you're just there.
You really get to experience a human interaction. Mm-hmm. And man, I got to tell you, man, humans are really cool.
Yeah.
If we allow ourselves to be that. If we lead from compassion and lead from a giving heart, life's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. So, and it's more beautiful if you have a team, if you have a tribe, if you have a community, and you're engaged with it. So
that's so rad.
Takeaway number 2.
Okay. Hit us. What's number 3?
Third takeaway, man. So, a lot of my friends, a lot of people have said, oh man, that's cool, man. You went to Kilimanjaro, you conquered the summit, man. And I'm like, I didn't conquer anything. I didn't conquer Kilimanjaro. Kilimanjaro's been there for thousands and thousands of years. She's doing her thing, man. There's nothing that I've conquered at all on that mountain. She allowed me to summit. She gave me, the permission to do so. I didn't get sick, thank God. I didn't get elevation sickness, and I was able to accomplish the goal of summiting. But I didn't conquer. I didn't conquer anything. Kili's out there. She's kicking ass, man. She's doing her thing, and she's been doing it for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. The only thing I conquered is myself. I am the mountain. That's the third takeaway. I am the mountain. And I'll tell you that in life, we are our own mountains. We have to conquer ourselves. And there's a lot of doubt that comes into things. You're climbing, you're summiting, you're in pain, and you're doubting yourself. You're doubting your ability to do the thing you need to do. And you're second guessing yourself. At times you're wishing you weren't there. At times you just want to stop. You need a break. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to tell you that there was a time where I was like, I think I just want to go down. I'm done. This is hard. So I had to mentally, physically, emotionally and spiritually conquer myself.
Wow.
And will myself to that. And that's the only thing I conquered. And I realized that the mind is such a powerful, powerful thing. I saw it, I lived it firsthand, from thought to action, and it happened. You know, there was a point where my ankle was killing me. I've been dealing with Achilles tendonitis over the last 6 months, on both feet. I feel you, Christian McCaffrey. I feel you.
Oh.
And there was a point on the summit run where my left Achilles was just done, and it was painful. And in my head, I just started this mantra kind of prayer, make it go away, make it go away, make it go away. It wouldn't go away. So then I just started saying to myself, I feel great. I feel phenomenal. I feel powerful. I got energy. I feel juice, man. I'm like, let's go. We got this. And all of a sudden the pain went away. The pain went away. So the mind can make your body do amazing things. So the mountain is you. The mountain is you. And I could really transfer that into real life too. When you have business goals, you have personal goals. The only thing you got to conquer is yourself. So you don't want to wake up early on Wednesdays to go to BNI. Conquer yourself.
Conquer that. Conquer yourself
and go. That's you want to excel better at your business and you want to do more networking. Conquer yourself. Get out of your own way. Get out of your shyness, your coyness, and get uncomfortable. Conquer yourself and go climb that mountain.
Wow.
That's it. So those are the 3 big takeaways I got from Kili.
Dang, man, that's awesome. I mean, we could probably talk about this for another hour or 3, but I don't want to undermine what you just taught everybody by continuing that.
Yeah.
So what I would like to do is ask you 2 final questions that I've asked everybody, because I think I'm going to make something fun, like a little mashup later. Oh, so I'd like to have your answer included. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. There's so many more. There's so many more things I had intended to talk to you about. So many more of the personal things, because you've done so much for me professionally and personally that a lot of people just maybe don't even know about. And I'm going to give time for that at another time. We'll do this again.
Sure.
Because I want to make sure we do that and we honor that as well. But I think you've just laid such a firm foundation of moving forward, kind of ending Q4 as a group, looking into the new year looking at ourselves in this year, looking forward into the new year, and really tackling some of those maybe steeper climbs we have in our life. Pun very much intended.
Yes.
Like, what are we battling privately, silently, that maybe we aren't telling people about, but we need people around us that can help us ascend to the top of whatever that is we're trying to get to, and but then also safely return and safely get back to take the lesson away, and then bestow that upon others to share and have that wisdom garnered upon others as well. So, dude, super profound. Thank you for bringing all that to here.
My pleasure.
I was like, cool. I'm just gonna get like a cool little hiking story or 2. But dude, you just like dropped like a class, and I love it.
Oh, thank you, man.
Okay, so you're in a stadium with 100,000 people. And you get to stand in the center, and I hand you the microphone and go, Miguel, you get to thank anybody you want. Who are you thanking and why?
Ooh.
I know there's always like 100 people you could thank. Just pick one person you'd like to thank and tell me why.
I'm gonna pick my wife. I'm gonna thank my wife. Man, I'm gonna tear up. Jesus Christ. My wife is an exemplary person, man. She is a person who comes at life from a genuine place, no ego whatsoever. And she also, because she doesn't come at it from an ego, she has a no bullshit, kind of, way of being. And I appreciate that. But she's been my biggest supporter, cheerleader, and believer. My mom too, of course. My wife, though, has taught me a lot of lessons through life that I needed to learn. A lot of those are hard lessons, and she's been uberly patient with me through the process of becoming what I am now at almost 50. And it's been a battle, for me to grow in certain areas of my life and business and the struggles that come with, being self-employed and being at the mercy of cycles and so forth. But she has been patient. She has been caring, compassionate, and understanding. And I learn a lot from her, particularly when it comes to just staying calm in tough moments. She is just, I don't know how she does it. I don't know where she learned it from. She's super involved in that space. The calm within the storm is something that comes just naturally to her, not to me, but I've learned from her. So she's been an amazing, amazing spouse, amazing friend, girlfriend, and teacher, because I've learned a lot from her. So, and I believe that couples should be teaching each other a lot. So, I would thank my wife.
That is awesome. There's when you're saying that about her, you remember Stuart Scott from ESPN? He was like a broadcaster.
Yeah.
He passed away many years ago now, but he used to have this saying, as cool as the other side of the pillow. And just being calm under pressure, like no freaking out, no stress, just like boom, stable, calm. Like just as cool as the other side of the pillow. I remember that phrase.
Yeah. So to my single guys out there, I would just say choose wisely. Look past the physical attributes and the career goals and whatnot. Like really look at the person for who they are. If you're choosing a spouse, that goes for the gals too. Choose wisely. Choose your spouse wisely.
All right. Last question.
Yeah.
Dead or alive, who would you like to have a dinner with?
Oh man, so many people. Oof.
I know that's a long list too.
Ooh.
It's okay. You could just share one. It doesn't even have to be your top one. You could just share one. Dead or alive, who would you want to share a dinner with?
You know what? I would love to have dinner with John Lennon.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me more about that.
Well, I was born and raised on the Beatles. My dad is a huge Beatles fan, and I always like to get on his nerves by telling him, hey, the Rolling Stones are a better rock band.
Jeez, you're just like poking the bear.
Oh yeah, it's just like that.
What are you doing?
But I grew up. My dad was in a Beatles cover band.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude, my dad's awesome. He was a yogi before yoga was cool. But we grew up on the Beatles, and I want to say, and I'll have to ask him, but he goes back and forth between his favorite Beatles, right? Paul McCartney, John Lennon. But I think John Lennon for me, because he was so bold in his choices. He was so bold in being genuinely himself, especially towards the end of his life. He had a tough upbringing. He was a super creative cat and was unafraid and unabashed about expressing himself. And I'd like to be more like that. I mean, I'm on that path, but I would love to be more like John Lennon in that regard. And I think he had a real passion for, at least in his art, where to express his goals for what the world should look like. And he really bought into trying to make a change, and he really went into it, and he expressed it in his music. John Lennon would be a guy I would love to, have lunch and just kind of get to know him and find out what his drivers were and how was he so bold and free. And at least from the outside, he could tell me, the complete opposite. I feel trapped, but wow. From the outside in, he looked so confident and bold in who John Lennon was. He knew who John was, and he lived it.
That's super cool, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Again, this is another part of like having this whole like process in this series where I learned something. Like I don't ever know what someone's gonna say when you ask that question, but it's fascinating every single time. It's just fascinating hearing what the answer is.
Who would you have dinner with?
So I've been asked this question. David Greep actually asked me this question in reverse, and I actually answered two people. One was my grandfather, Edward Dobman. He was an engineer turned hobby baker, and he was so precise at everything. I want to learn more about him. He served in World War II, and he was also worked at the White House for a little bit in the communications department after World War II. And so there's a lot of things he died when I was younger, and I didn't know to ask him certain things, or I wasn't as inquisitive about our like heritage as I am now. Yeah. And so I would have loved to go back and do that. The other one is it's very specific. It's my dad's uncle, Henry Cruz. My dad's uncle, Henry Cruz, was a survivor of Pearl Harbor USS Arizona attack. Oh, wow. So he was on the ship. He was assigned to the Arizona, jumped off when it was bombed, and lived until 2012. And again, at the time in 2012, I wasn't as inquisitive as what was that like? And a little bit near the end, some of his faculties were slipping. Yeah. And so kind of in the extended family, there's some of that story that's coalesced and still together. But I just want to hear from him the firsthand account of like jumping off of the Arizona in this, you're getting surprise bombed. Like, what the heck?
How old was he?
17.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. Or I want to say 17. I don't know if he had just turned 18. I can't remember,
18,
but I have to go back and look at the date.
So
I mean, I know D-Day, but I'm saying his birthday.
Yeah, man, 18. I mean, at 18, getting bombed and you have to jump off a ship which could lead to your death too, jumping off a ship.
I mean, how many people died that day?
Yeah. But oh man, just to think at that age to have to go through that and some of the things that how easy and how good we have it these days.
When I was 17, I wasn't like learning how to fight in war.
No.
Like I wasn't on a ship or none of that stuff. Like I was playing music, I was playing drums, playing baseball, going to recruiting camps. Like I was not doing that.
And that's why I love stories, because stories like that, they remind us that, hey, we have it really good. We have it so good.
But I think we think we don't.
I know, but
I think we think we don't,
because we're now a society of complainers, right? But we have it so good. We have it so good, and we can't lose sight of that. And I'm on a mission to remind people that we have it good. We have it so good.
That's so rad, man.
Yeah.
And we have it good every Wednesday down at BNI Partners in Excellence, don't we?
Come out. If you're listening to this podcast and you're in business and you want to grow your business, come out Wednesdays, 7 to 8 a.m.
Yep.
Andy leads a phenomenal meeting.
Well, thank you, Miguel, for being here. If you'd like to come and network with Miguel and I, you can see us every Wednesday down at the Chula Vista Golf Course in Bonita. That's right. Chula Vista Golf Course in Bonita, 4475 Bonita Road. Open networking starts at 6:45. Meeting starts at 7, and we hope we will see you there. You can actually register to visit our meeting by clicking in the description box below or the profile icon if you're watching this on YouTube. Miguel, thank you so much for coming to the show. This has been phenomenal, and we're going to have you come back and do the whole second round. There's more common ground stuff you and I haven't talked about. Yeah. I'm going to name drop one person right now that's for our future show is Ingrid Galchenko.
Woo, yes.
Ingrid Galchenko, who got you in real estate, is connected to my family, and I'll tell you about that next time.
I got to hear that.
Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you again next time.